On 23rd August, the central government announced that it wants to raise 6 lakh crore rupees, roughly $81 billion, by monetizing government-owned assets like lands, roads, stadiums, etc. between FY22 and FY25 under the National Monetisation Pipeline scheme, also called as NMP. Now, what you need to know is that the government will not be selling the assets outright. The assets being given under the NMP scheme will still be owned by the government and will be returned to the government after a stipulated period of time. The strategic objective of the program is to unlock value of investments in brownfield public sector assets by tapping institutional as well as long-term patient capital, which can thereafter be leveraged for further public investments. So let's start by understanding the model itself. What is asset monetization?
Asset monetization consists of limited period transfer of performing or non-performing assets to unlock idle capital and reinvest the same in other assets or projects that deliver improved or additional benefits. In the case of roads, for instance, you could transfer the rights to toll and maintain this asset to a private entity. You could sign an agreement working out the toll fee, the period during which the rights will remain with the third party, and flesh out other important details. In return, the private entity may be asked to commit cash upfront. This will give the government some much-needed financial reprieve, and it will relieve them of all obligations to maintain the road. A significant chunk of these proceeds is expected to be recycled back into new infrastructure projects. Asset monetization models. How will it work in India? Asset monetization models, which are currently being explored, may broadly be categorized into two approaches. First, direct contractual approach, which is the PPP model, which could be on the lines of operate, maintain and transfer, toll operate and transfer, operations maintenance and development, and rehabilitate, operate, maintain, transfer models. The second is structured financing models, which includes the likes of rights and InvITs. What's the pipeline? The NMP estimates aggregate monetization potential of 6 lakh crores through core assets of the central government over FY22 to FY25. The top 5 sectors by estimated value capture about 83% of the aggregate pipeline value. These top 5 sectors include roads, followed by railways, power, oil and gas pipelines, and telecom. Other assets in the pipeline include airports, ports, warehouses, hospitality assets, and urban infrastructure. About 88,000 of asset monetization is expected to be completed in FY22 itself. As an incentive for asset monetization by states, an additional allocation equivalent to 33% of value of assets realized is envisaged to be deposited in state consolidated funds or in accounts of state public sector enterprises owning the assets. The allocation and disbursement is subject to the realized amount being necessarily used for capital expenditure by states.
The government also hosts land parcels, guest houses, and other real estate assets that could potentially be put to good use. The objective now is to identify these assets, find the most appropriate way to unlock value, and do it in a time-bound manner. In addition to central asset recycling pipeline, we may eventually see large pipeline from states given a host of incentives announced by the centre. Do remember, state governments have control of power generation assets, transmission and distribution, state highways, etc. among its key assets. Now, such efforts could also increase visibility on funding of state capex. Initial success has been achieved in roads and power transmission assets, which is of course positive for infra companies focused on roads, transmission, and even railways. In fact, the government release stated that the monetization plans have already received some recent successes, including monetization of 1,400 kilometers of road assets for 17,000 crores under the TOT model. The NHAI also has plans for an InvIT in September 2021.
Stocks to benefit from NMP scheme. Nomura says that this could be positive for companies like PNC Infratech, Dilip Bilcon, and KNR Construction. In addition, Dilip Bilcon also benefits from mining assets monetization in the form of mine developer and operator contracts for coal blocks. Also, Power Grid successfully carried out an InvIT for FY22 for 7,700 crores. Nomura expects a further boost from tariff-based competitive bidding tenders. This could provide EPC opportunities for L&T and KEC.